Pod is a 90s futuristic racing game. You remember when there was just loads of these sorts of games in the 90s? You had your wipEouts, you had your F-Zeros, and in amongst them all was this game Pod. And the reason I remember Pod so well is because we actually got this for free with our first ever family PC. When the Pentium 2 came out, there was a huge deal made about MMX processors, and we got a Pentium 2 computer, and it came bundled with loads of software which was optimized for MMX processors. One of those pieces of software was this game Pod by Ubisoft, and mate, this game blew my mind. I remember thinking it was just the coolest game I'd ever played. It had these crisp 3D graphics, CD quality sound and music. Honestly, it had everything. The worst part about Pod though was because it was so heavily optimized for these MMX processors, it basically never worked again on any of the subsequent computers we owned. I built that Pentium 3 computer a couple of years ago, and one of the reasons for that was because I wanted to be able to play Pod. I've still got the same disc that I had from when I was a kid, and I've put it in and I updated it to the latest version, downloaded the 3DFX patch. Amazing. This is actually one of the first games to support 3DFX. There is also a fix you can see here to get the game running in 800 by 600, but unfortunately for me, for some reason, this completely fucked with my capture card. So whilst it was running fine, the capture looks awful. Unfortunately, you're going to be watching me play this game in 640 by 480. The story is pretty bonk, to be honest with you. Pod is set on the planet Io. Some miners dug down into the planet and, oh god, they unleashed an ancient evil or something. I don't know, it's like a big virus, I guess, that bubbles up out of the ground and kills everything. But fair enough. So everybody says, right, fuck this, we're out. They get on spaceships and they leave the planet behind. The only problem is there's only one seat left on the last ship and there's 8 people left on the planet. Obviously, the only sensible thing to do is to take all the mining equipment that's left laying around, modify them into supercars and have a death race to decide who gets to leave the planet. The cars themselves are excellent. Loads of weird shapes and grungy textures on it. Great. You can actually modify the specs of each car, so really just choose a car that you like. You got 15 courses which we'll drive over, and the courses are absolutely bananas. They're brilliant. These sort of post-apocalyptic, almost sort of Mad Max-esque tracks. Really good fun. They're all built around the idea of these abandoned cities or these ruined mines and so on. They're all really detailed, and they're all tied together with that 90s grungy aesthetic which I mentioned before. A 12-year-old me thought this was absolutely brilliant. An adult me thinks it's still pretty good, to be fair. Oh yeah, there is also this giant bloody spider's nest, so there's that too. So the game just plays out in a very typical racing game fashion. First place gets 8 points, second place gets 7 points, so on and so forth until you get to 8th place, who gets 1 point. After 15 races, whoever's got the highest score is the one who gets to leave on the planet. Everyone else is left behind to die. Quality, mate. Physics was a bit of a novel concept, obviously, back in 1997, because Ubisoft are clearly trying to show off how much time and effort they've put into this. The heavier cars, they'll stick to the road like glue, but the lighter cars will be skating around as if you're driving on glass. The cars lose loads of momentum when they're going uphill, and by God, they don't have to get some mustard on them when they're coming down dale. Hitting 2 cars together causes them to rattle off one another like snooker balls. Obviously can be a great advantage or a real pain in the arse depending on which car you are. On the higher difficulty levels, the cars can even take damage, which is all based on physics. One thing which is of note with this game, I'll tell you this, the game had online multiplayer. For 1997, I think that's amazing. The servers are done now, you can't play it online unfortunately, but you can do split screen local, which is wicked. I mean, again, for PC games that's pretty rare. Pod is still really fun. I had a great time going through it. Arcade racing games are a lot of fun. I like a bit of killer loop, I like a bit of roll cage, and it's nice to just have any variation on that front, so that's great. I've got quite a lot of these sort of 90s PC racing games. I'll probably do a list of them at some point because this is a wicked genre, man. The reason I started doing these second wind videos is so that I can talk about these old PC games that you can still play on modern machines, so that you can give this game a second wind yourself. Pod is available on GOG now for less than a £5, so you know, for the price of a pint in a Shoreditch pub, you can get something which will last you much longer and will almost certainly be more fun. Cheers. For more old PC gaming videos, please subscribe to The Game Show.